Let us answer this question, guys. This menstrual cycle question from a previous question paper. The graph below represents a menstrual cycle and the influence of the different hormones on it. First question, on which day does ovulation take place? So on which day does ovulation take place? It takes place on day 14. So that is day 14. Between which days does menstruation take place? So from the diagram that we are given, between which days of the menstrual cycle, it's day 1 to day, is it 4 or 5? Yeah, this is day 3, day 4. Okay, so definitely day 4. So day 1 to 4, because we can see what is happening here. There is the blood. Okay, then state one function of LH other than ovulation. We know LH has two functions, right? To stimulate ovulation and also to stimulate the conversion of the Graafian follicle into the corpus luteum. So the function to stimulate the conversion of the Graafian follicle into the corpus luteum. 1 mark. Okay. Describe the functional relationship between progesterone, these two hormones, progesterone and FSH. Now that is negative feedback. Now the relationship between the two is that high levels of progesterone will obviously inhibit the secretion of FSH. So if FSH is not secreted, that means no follicle is going to develop. Or you can talk about low levels of progesterone. If the levels of progesterone in the blood are low, that obviously stimulates the secretion of FSH in order for a new follicle to develop. So easy peasy stuff. So I'm going to write the answer here. So high levels of progesterone inhibits the secretion of FSH. That means no follicle will develop. Then obviously, or you can answer it also in the opposite. A decrease, meaning low levels or decrease in progesterone levels. Progesterone is going to stimulate the secretion of FSH. So if FSH is secreted, obviously a new follicle will develop. Easy peasy stuff. Then account for the change in thickness of the endometrial lining between day 14 and day 21. We need to account why there is a change in thickness in the endometrium lining between day 14. There is day 14, between day 14 and 21. So this is where we're looking at. Okay, so we need to remind ourselves of the hormone that gets secreted after ovulation. And that hormone is the one that will increase the thickness of the endometrial lining. So remember, during ovulation, guys, so around day 14, and we're able to see it here, even on the graphs, even here, even here. Oh, okay, but now I am, okay, it's fine. So LH will stimulate ovulation to take place. Hence, we are seeing the high levels of LH around day 13, day 14, right? Also, LH will stimulate the conversion of the Graafian follicle into a corpus luteum. And now this corpus luteum is then going to start secreting hormone progesterone. And when it secretes this hormone directly into the blood, obviously that means the levels of progesterone in the blood are going to increase. Hence, we can see that there is high levels of progesterone in the blood just after day 14. Those high levels of progesterone obviously stimulates an increase in the thickness of the endometrium. All right, now let's write it down. So the account, okay, so the corpus luteum starts to secrete progesterone, progesterone. I always have to check progesterone. I think I wrote it incorrectly somewhere. Progesterone. Okay, it's correct. Okay, to secrete progesterone that continues to thicken the endometrium. Endometrium. This is a T. All right. I've been forgetting to show you how these answers will be marked. I need to use a darker color. The corpus luteum starts to secrete progesterone, which will continue to thicken the endometrium. And for the negative feedback, high levels of progesterone will inhibit the secretion of FSH. Oopsie. Did fertilization take place in the 28-day cycle illustrated in the graph? Did fertilization take place? Yes or no? No, fertilization did not take place. They're probably going to ask us why. Why are we saying fertilization did not take place? For 2 marks, explain your answer, cause and effect. Explain your answer to question 2.5.6. Why are you saying fertilization did not take place? We can look at a few things here. Sorry, we can talk about the corpus luteum. There is the corpus luteum here. It starts to degenerate. So the corpus luteum degenerated. And the progesterone levels decrease. So remember, this is the structure that secretes progesterone. So if it starts to degenerate, that means it's no longer going to be secreting progesterone. That means the progesterone levels in the blood will start to decrease there. We can see the progesterone levels in the blood decreasing. What we can also talk about is FSH and LH. We can talk about FSH. What is happening to FSH? There is FSH. And FSH starts to increase around day 27, day 28. So that means a new follicle is enlarging. Okay. We can also talk about LH. The LH levels would have decreased, obviously. The LH levels are decreasing over here. We can also talk about the endometrium breaking down. There is the endometrium. Can you see that there's a new cycle that's starting? So this is a new cycle. There's a day 1 here. A new cycle is starting. The endometrium is breaking down. That is basically telling us that menstruation is taking place. So easy peasy stuff. So we can talk about the corpus luteum. Corpus luteum degenerated. Obviously, the progesterone levels decreased. We saw that from our graph. We can talk about FSH also. This is a capital letter F. FSH levels start to increase around day 27, day 28. The LH levels decrease, the endometrium breaks down. You can talk about the endometrium breaking down. All right, that's it.